with more than 25 years of experience in different aspects of management, but focused on HR. I also worked as an independent consultant for 9+ years. So active listening and speaking thoughtfully. So authenticity is very important. You balance the digital transformation journey with the skill profile.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the esteemed FaceTime with Leaders, an initiative by World Development Corporation. I'm Sunny Pancholi, anchor at World Development Corporation. FaceTime with Leaders is a platform for industry titans to share their experiences, thoughts, ideas, and best practices in order to inspire one another and future leaders. In a nutshell, we attempt to encapsulate the multi-decadal learnings acquired by these industry leaders. We also hope that by conducting these FaceTime with Leaders interviews, we can bring together a global community of eminent personalities. By bringing together such visionaries on one platform, we hope to play a part in inspiring the lives of other leaders. Great learnings from great leaders undoubtedly assist everyone by identifying, nurturing, and using the trade secrets that are proven success formulas for many. And this is what we aim for with these sessions, by making them a gathering of industry stalwarts and a knowledge-sharing community. We have one such industry heavyweight on FaceTime with Leaders with us today, Ms Indrani Banerjee. She stands as a distinguished HR authority, boasting over 2.5 decades of post-qualification expertise, demonstrating mastery across a spectrum of HR domains, including strategic HRM, talent acquisition, and performance management. She navigates seamlessly from strategic planning to operational execution. Her extensive hands-on experience spans managing multi-locational workforces in diverse organizational landscapes, from large corporations to startups. In her most recent corporate engagement, she has served as the National Head of HR, Administration, Training, and CSR at Arohan Financial Services, a notable entity in the NBFC sector. Here, she has led a robust team spanning over 200 members across India, overseeing a workforce exceeding 9,000 employees. Preceding this role, she held the esteemed position of Group CHRO at the BK Birla Group, which encompassed various establishments such as the Ashok Hall chain of schools, technology institutions in Bhiwani and Pilani, Kesharam Industries, and Manjushri Plantations. Welcome to FaceTime with Leaders, Ms Banerjee.
Thank you. Thank you for having me in this interview today.
So to begin with, could you please share with us your brief journey in the field of HR, highlighting significant milestones and experiences that have shaped your career?
Well, to start with, as you've already mentioned, that I come with more than 25 years of experience in different aspects of management, but focused on HR. I come from a science background, so I've done my honors in physics, leading to an MBA from ISWBM in 1995. And ISWBM has been the oldest management institute of the country. So also, as you mentioned, that I've worked in different sectors, and of course, the learnings have been different in different sectors and different organizations. Although HR theory remains the same, the application is pretty different. So working across different sectors also adds to the richness of the experience. I also got the chance to work directly with business heads pretty early in my career. And hence, the business enablement function of HR has shaped my thinking from a very, very early stage. I also had the opportunity to work both on the shop floor as well as, of course, in corporate offices, and managed to cover the entire spectrum of HR. So there is both in terms of horizontal spread and in terms of vertical depth. I also got the chance to work in a range of organizations. Okay, when I say range of organizations, I mean startups to large corporations, family businesses to professionally managed setups, cash-starved to cash-rich organizations, and organizations downsizing to organizations expanding through merger and acquisition. So that's quite a range, of course. And in each of these experiences, I picked up different management styles. So as I just mentioned, while HR theory remains the same, the flavor of experience has been very different. Okay, so the entire range that I covered also adds to the richness of the experience. I have been primarily based out of Calcutta, apart from a stint with Infosys that was 16 years back. But even then, I worked as the SBU head of two of the important SBUs of Infosys Technologies with a workforce of 12,000 and 3,500 respectively. That was 16 years back. And my last three corporate roles were as National Head of HR at Arohan, which you already mentioned, preceded by Group CHRO at BK Birla, and National HR and IR Head at Magnates Engineering. I also got the chance to work with the Big Four consulting firms and Boston Consulting Group in driving HR transformation and OD initiatives. I also worked as an independent consultant for 9+ years in the areas of executive search, leadership hiring, HR consulting and advisory, and training and coaching. So thereby experiencing HR consulting on both sides of the divide, both sides of the table, basically. So once while engaging consultants as an HR head of an organization, and also working as a consultant with HR heads of other organizations. I also worked as a guest faculty in business schools in parallel, as teaching has been a passion for me. So that's about my journey across these 25+ years, the highlights of it.
Ms Banerjee, thank you for the excellent start to this interview, and I must say your career journey is truly inspiring.
Thank you so much. It's been a very invigorating journey for me as well. I mean, yeah. Thank you.
Right. Okay. So continuing our conversation, our viewers would like to know, with over 25 years of experience in HR across sectors, so could you elaborate on some of the key challenges you have encountered and how have you navigated them?
Yeah, like as I was mentioning, that HR theory remains the same, but the application across different sectors and across different organizations, even within the same sector, varies widely. So the first learning has been, grasping these differences. So what is different even within the same sector? What is different between company A and company B and company C? So two organizations, even if they are in the same league of companies, two organizations are never the same. So grasping this unique difference, organization to organization, very quickly, and adapting your style and approach, getting it right is very important, right? So if you get wrong in understanding the difference, you will never make it. So grasping this difference and adapting your style has been the first learning for me. So equally important is what I also learned is that more than intellectual prowess, okay, more than, because I have always been academically very bright, and so at least at the start, I was a little, I thought that gave me an edge over others. But what I learned was that more than intellectual prowess, getting accepted is the primary requisite. Okay, so unless one gets accepted, and particularly since HR was my specialization, so it was even more important, right? So basically the message that I don't care how much you know, unless I know how much you care, that message rang loud and clear, and it was a very, very important learning for me. Another important learning, I would say, is that already covered earlier, that I've worked with consulting organizations on both sides of the divide. So kind of organization transformation initiatives, change initiatives has been a very key part of what I've done, right? Apart from just routine HR operations, which is obviously there, but throughout my journey, I've been part of these OD initiatives and change management initiatives. So many a times being part of cross-functional teams as well. Okay, so that is why I mentioned that my focus. It is a general management experience with focused on HR. So because of all these roles that I navigated throughout my career, so I naturally developed a fetish for business outcomes. Not typical of HR people, but I developed a fetish for that. When I talk about organizational business outcomes, what I mean is, aspects like productivity, operational efficiency, then cost reduction, cost efficiencies, then cost efficiencies, of course, means time efficiencies as well, right? So these became integral to my, professional personality. Now, so even having said that, what was a key learning for me was that no change initiative can be a success without the willing participation of people. Any amount of jargons, implement any number of models. So unless the people impacted by change willingly participate in the change process, no amount of jargon can be a success. So that was a key learning. And hence, so when we talk about willing participation of people, that has directly to do with the leadership style. And leadership style, not through command and control, but through inspirational motivation, right? So that was, so there are a number of books on leadership, but the leadership style has to be, honed through one's learning experience. And that was a key learning for me on the inspirational motivation, The other learning was in terms of learning in terms of active listening, speaking less and hearing more. We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so hear more and speak less. So active listening and speaking thoughtfully. And when I say speaking thoughtfully, because the HR person has to be the trustworthy person on both sides of the divide. Here, when I say both sides of the divide, I mean employers and employees. So if one has to be the trustworthy person and always, kind of balancing the tightrope walk, so trust is very important. And through active listening and measured speaking, weighing your words and be careful of what you say and to whom you say. So it sounds simple, but it's when one applies it, it's pretty difficult, and that again has been a key learning for me. And last but not the least, keeping myself abreast with different certifications, consistently amongst the earliest to embrace new concepts, coupled with opportunities for learning opportunities for learning through application. So that has also been so basically the learning here was that one has to, constantly replenish one's skills. So beyond, and I think I've done that better than most of my peers. So these have been, I think, some of the key learnings across my journey.
That really sounds incredible, Ms Banerjee. So diving deeper into the leadership skills, what constitutes leadership skills according to you?
Yeah, so I would begin with leading by example. So this is something perhaps, which I did thoughtfully. When I say leading by example, so this is one of the key values of Infosys. Okay, so the Infosys had, I think, 5 values summarized as C Life, and it begins with leading. C, of course, is customer delight, but L is leading by example. So this is something that I picked up from Infosys. So that is, of course, about idealized influence on the foundation of trust aspects, which I already covered earlier. Then we have inspirational motivation. Okay, inspirational motivation is another aspect of leadership, which is something which I perfected over time. Already mentioned earlier. Intellectual stimulation. Well, what I mean by intellectual stimulation, giving people the opportunity to do what they do best. Okay, and I also spoke about a number of change initiatives and all that, which has kind of dominated my experience in a big way. So emphasizing the what's in it for me aspect in any change initiative. So every time when we ask people to do things differently, which of course, which the organization believes will lead the organization where it wants to go. So what is that WIIFM aspect? What's in it for me? Because only then people will be intellectually stimulated, right? Why will people join my agenda or the organization's agenda? It begins with intellectual stimulation, and then it gets into the unlocking the emotional part of it, when people get passionately involved, right? So how do you do that? How do you get people passionately involved? That is through individual consideration. What we mean by individual consideration: treating each person as important, regardless of the person's position in the hierarchy. Now, these things, I mean, when we speak of it through a conversation, it possibly sounds a little idealistic, but living these values on a day-to-day basis is definitely an uphill task. But the rewards are, the rewards are absolutely worth the pain. So this individualized consideration, making everyone feel special and important as a human being. Now, I did mention that it's an uphill task, living true to these principles on a day-to-day basis. And at least for me, what helped me live these principles, leadership principles on a day-to-day basis, was the good amount of work that I've done. Why good? Maybe even a rigorous amount of work that I've done on myself in the domains of emotional and spiritual intelligence and authenticity. So I did mention about earning trust on both sides of the divide, employers and employees. So authenticity is very important, so being authentic. So a lot of these things become very much easier, if we wear a work mask, and if we, being fake, saying things which the particular audience segment likes to hear at that given point of time. That's an easier way out. But being authentic, saying the same thing and never having a backbone. So these things, really make a difference, and it may or may not give short-term gains all the time, but in the long run, I believe that these have been the very strong leadership principles for me, and at least they have stood me in good stead.
Absolutely. So, Ms. Banerjee, now that we have discussed your career journey, your professional pursuits, roles, and responsibilities, let's dive into the subject of ESG. So, here is my question to you, and a very obvious one. How and when did you develop an interest in ESG?
Well, ESG, I got introduced to ESG as a formal. So one is, let's say, the concept of ESG, okay, to which, of course, I was attuned over a good amount of time. But getting introduced to ESG as a formal discipline is what happened at Arohan Financial Services, which was the last corporate I was associated with. Now, Arohan Financial Services is an organization in the microfinance sector, right? And so basically, the foreign funding agents of the organization were very interested in knowing the organization's preparedness and compliance with ESG. Okay, and since at Arohan, since I was also responsible for CSR normally and ESG as an as a subset of CSR, so I was basically responsible for driving ESG at Arohan. And it was during my association that the aspect of ESG integration with business started at Arohan. So that was how I developed interest in ESG as a formal subject. And I was very quick to spot the opportunity. So when we talk of ESG, it is environment and social governance. So the opportunity which ESG allowed in terms of implementing many HR initiatives, which met with resistance from the finance department or from the business department. Okay, so those could be driven because the investors were interested in ESG. So I was quick to spot the opportunity that where I may hit a roadblock just by taking the HR route. The moment I embrace the ESG bandwagon, so things might be a cakewalk for me. In terms of driving mission critical initiatives, which will again benefit the organization in a big way. So that was what really interested me, about ESG. And I was again quick to spot the opportunity and, do a formal certification in ESG.
Amazing. So as an ESG expert, what values do you bring to the table, Ms Banerjee?
See, what I understand, so far is, one is, of course, the formal knowledge of it. But what, according to me, is the differentiator and perhaps even a prerequisite is being really passionate about the core philosophy of ESG. Okay, so being wedded at a very core, non-negotiable level, being wedded to the, let's say, the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations, right? So how passionately one feels for it. Because I did mention about authenticity, which is a very core aspect of my even leadership style. So I don't like to do anything. Okay, so for me, authenticity is very important. And hence, when we talk of ESG also, the passion of what ESG stands for, the genesis of ESG, what ESG stands for. So, of course, the learning and everything, the theory of ESG is one part of it. But what is the key differentiator, and which I believe I bring in abundance, is the passion. Okay, and so that's an aspect of values. And so basically, when we talk of that, what we essentially, when we talk about the core philosophy of ESG, it is giving precedence to people and planet on profits. So it's not profit as an end in itself. It is profit balancing the people's interest covered in social governance and the planet part without harming the planet, right? So again, as I was telling you, that passion and that so this must be a part of one's core belief, and which I believe I bring in abundant measure, being naturally tuned to the cause of people and planet. And so being equipped with all these let's say primary prerequisites, in my understanding, I would like to explore a role maybe as an executive or non-executive director and I don't have any kind of restrictions in terms of locations or industries, because I've already worked in different industries, and I very much thrive on the challenges which every new role and industry offers. So that is what I'm looking forward to do, and so use my ESG theoretical knowledge, my passion for the cause and for the genesis of ESG as a formal discipline, and of course the application aspect. And of course, if I were to also apply my learnings from Arohan Financial Service, talking about the social governance part of ESG, I think an industry which deals with bottom of pyramid people in terms of either customer segment or an organization or industry which draws its employees from that social segment, naturally has an edge to apply more in terms of social governance. Because and I think that's very much a need of the times also. So when we talk of equitable growth and inclusiveness and diversity, so diversity means something in the white collar segment, but which impacts only perhaps 1% of India, even if we were to talk of it. But so basically impacting a larger segment of society through ESG is what perhaps those industries such as NBFC offers.
All right. Ms. Banerjee, thank you for sharing such amazing insights into different subjects. So let's move ahead and let's discuss technology and its impact on your professional landscape. So here is my question to you. What are some ways you wish to leverage technical advance, namely IoT, AI, ML, blockchain, big data, digital twin, Web 3.0, etc.?
Okay, so about technology, see, most of these names which you mentioned, while they sound new, but consciously or unconsciously, we are they've become part of our day-to-day lives. Even when we use a smartphone, we are using or being helped by these technologies at different levels, right? Of course, knowing these different technologies, the pros and cons at a cognitive level definitely helps, especially at the level, at an apex level in organizations, maybe as a director, executive, non-executive, whatever capacity. So it helps definitely. It also helps in discerning that which technology will actually help the organization to address the specific challenges which the organization is facing. Because it's not that just because we have a number of new technologies, so everything will benefit every organization at any given stage. So this knowledge, of course, helps in discerning that which one will, and it also helps in optimizing cost. So what to expect from the digital transformation journey. So that is one thing. And the other aspect of digital transformation is any digital transformation journey will also impact people in terms of skills, because depending on which of these technologies we choose to apply in an organization, it will impact on the skills, right? So in terms of unlearning, relearning, right? In terms of upskilling, reskilling of people. So depending on what we apply, the skill profile of people will change, the jobs will have to be redesigned. So there is a good amount of social, the people aspect, which also gets impacted through any digital transformation initiative. I've, of course, had the opportunity to work on ERP from the time, it came into existence, which was around 25 years back. Okay. So I am pretty much hands-on on all aspects of technology, but at an apex level within the organization, it's basically how you balance the digital transformation journey with the skill profile, how you also impact the people impact of a digital transformation endeavor in applying the principles of social governance in a very humane way, and so therein lies the tightrope walk, perhaps, and the discernment factor, which I just mentioned.
Rightly said. So this brings us to the last question of the session. We are building a community of industry magnates. The move is meant for cross-pollination of knowledge and building a knowledge-sharing community of corporate giants and industry experts. So what are your thoughts about these initiatives taken by Mr. Zishan Pathan, Mr. Heval Mehta, and the team of World Development Corporation?
Indeed, it's a very commendable initiative from the World Development Council team, World Development Corporation team, my apologies. And I definitely look forward to be part of the cohort and contribute meaningfully to bolster the laudable objectives of this team and of this initiative.
Great. It was fantastic conversing with you, and I'm confident that your insights will inspire future leaders. Thank you, Ms. Indrani Banerjee, for joining us today. Wish you the best for your future endeavors. Moreover, trust that this initiative by Directors Institute has unquestionably expanded the participants' understanding and enriched their minds.